handsome man is overdressed. He is wearing a navy blue blazer, taupe shirt open at the throat, white slacks, white loafers. Everyone else, including the homely woman with the handsome man, is dressed appropriately, that is, like everyone else. Jeans and cowboy boots, blouses or cowboy shirts, or T-shirts with catchy sayings, or the names of country and western singers printed across the front. And many of the women are wearing cowboy hats pushed back and tied under their chins. The man doesn't know anyone at the bar, or if they're at a party in the room, but the woman knows most of the people there, and she gladly introduces him. The men grin and shake his hand, slap him on his jacketed shoulder, ask him where he works, what's his line, after which they lapse into silence. The women flirt briefly with their faces, but they lapse into silence even before the men do. The woman with the man in the blazer does most of the talking for everyone. She talks for the man in the blazer, for the men standing around the refrigerator, or, if they're at a bar, for the other men at the table, and for the other women, too. She chats and rambles aimlessly through loud monologues, laughs uproariously at trivial jokes, and drinks too much, until soon she is drunk, thick-tongued, clumsy, and the man has to say her goodbyes and ease her out the door to his car and drive her home to her apartment on Pearly Street. This happens twice in 1 week, and then 3 times the next. Ron no longer calls Sarah when he gets home from work. He waits for her call, and sometimes when he knows it's she, he doesn't answer the phone. Usually he lets it ring 5 or 6 times, and then he reaches down and picks up the receiver. He has taken his jacket and vest off and loosened his tie and is about to put his supper, frozen manicotti, into the microwave oven. Hello? Hi. How are you doing? Okay, I guess. A little tired. Still hungover? No, not really. Just tired. I hate Mondays. You have fun last night? Well, yeah, sorta. It's nice out there at the lake. Listen, she says, brightening, why don't you come over here tonight? The kids are all going out later, but if you come over before 8, you can meet them. They really want to meet you. You told them about me? Sure, a long time ago. I'm not supposed to tell my own kids? Ron is silent. She says, you don't want to come over here tonight. You don't want to meet my kids. No, you don't want my kids to meet you, that's it. No, it's just, I've got a lot of work to do. We should talk, she announces in a flat voice. Yes, he says, we should talk. They agree that she will meet him at his apartment, and they'll talk, and they say goodbye and hang up. While Ron is heating his supper and then eating it alone at his kitchen table, and Sarah is feeding her children, perhaps I should admit, since we are nearing the end of my story, that I don't actually know that Sarah Cole is dead. A few years ago I happened to run into one of her friends from the press, a blonde woman with an underslung jaw. Her name, she reminded me, was Glenda. She had seen me at Osgood's a couple of times, and we had met at the El Rancho once when I had gone there with Sarah. We were standing outside the Sears store on South Main Street, where I had gone to buy paint. I had recently remarried, and my wife and I were redecorating my apartment. Whatever happened to Sarah? I asked Glenda. Is she still down at the press? Geez, no. She left a long time ago, way back. I heard she went back with her ex-husband. I can't remember his name, something Cole, Eddie Cole, maybe. I asked her if she was sure of that, and she said no, she'd only heard it around the bars and down at the press, but she assumed it was true. People said Sarah had moved back with her ex-husband and was living for a while with him and the kids in a trailer in a park near Hooksett, and then when the kids, or at least the boys, got out of school, the rest of them moved down to Florida or someplace because he was out of work. He was a carpenter, she thought. He was mean to her, I said. Oh, well, yeah, he was a bastard, all right. I met him a couple times, and I didn't like him. Short, ugly, and mean when he got drunk. But you know what they say. What do they say? Oh, you know, about water seeking its own level and all. Sarah wasn't mean, drunk or sober. The woman laughed. Nah, but she sure was short and ugly. I said nothing. Hey, don't get me wrong, Glenda said. I liked Sarah. But you and her, well, you sure made a funny-looking couple. She probably didn't feel so self-conscious and all with her husband, she said somberly. Well, I loved her, I said. The woman raised one plucked eyebrow in disbelief. She smiled. Sure you did, honey, she said, and she patted me on the arm. Sure you did. Then she let the smile drift off her face, turned, and walked away from me. When someone you have loved dies, you accept the fact of her death, but then the person goes on living in your memory, dreams, and reveries. You have imaginary conversations with her. You see something striking and remind yourself to tell your loved one about it, and then get brought up short by the fact of her death, and at night in your sleep the dead person visits you. With Sarah, none of that happened. When she was gone from my life, she was gone absolutely, as if she had never existed in the first place. It was only later, when I could think of her as dead, and could come out and say it, my friend Sarah Cole is dead, that I was able to tell this story. For that is when she began to enter my memories, my dreams and reveries. In that way, I learned that I truly did love her. And now I have begun to grieve over her death, to wish her alive again, so that I can say to her the things I could not know or say when she was alive, when I did not know that I loved her. The woman arrives at Ron's apartment around 8. There was a soft knock at his door. He opens it, turns away, and crosses to the kitchen, where he turns back, lights a cigarette, and watches her. She closes the door. He offers her a drink, which she declines, and somewhat formally he invites her to sit down. She sits carefully on the sofa, in the middle with her feet close together on the floor, as if being interviewed for a job. He comes around and sits in the easy chair, relaxed, one leg slung over the other at the knee, as if he were interviewing her for the job. "Well," he says, "you wanted to talk?" "Yes, but now you're mad at me. I can see that. I didn't do anything wrong." "I'm not mad at you." They are silent for a moment. Ron goes on smoking his cigarette. Finally she sighs and says, "You don't want to see me anymore, do you?" He waits a few seconds and answers, "Yes, that's right." Getting up from the chair, he walks to the silver-gray bicycle and stands before it, running a fingertip along the slender crossbar from the saddle to the chrome-plated handlebars. "You're a son of a bitch," she says in a low voice. "You're worse than my ex-husband." Then she smiles meanly, almost sneers, and soon he realizes that she is telling him that she won't leave. He's stuck with her, she informs him with cold precision. "You think I'm just so much meat, and all you got to do is call up the butcher shop and cancel your order. Well, now you're going to find out different. You can't cancel your order. I'm not meat. I'm not one of your pretty little girlfriends who come running when you want them and go away when you get tired of them. I'm different. I got nothing to lose, Ron. Nothing. So you're stuck with me, Ron." She sits back in the couch and crosses her legs at the ankles. "I think I will have that drink you offered." "Look, Sarah, it would be better if you go now." "No," she says flatly. "You offered me a drink when I came in. Nothing's changed since I've been here. Not for me and not for you. I'd like that drink you offered," she says haughtily. Ron turns away from the bicycle and takes a step toward her. His face has stiffened into a mask. "Enough is enough," he says through clenched teeth. "I've given you enough." "Fix me a drink, will you, honey?" she says with a phony smile. Ron orders her to leave. She refuses. He grabs her by the arm and yanks her to her feet. She starts crying lightly. She stands there and looks up into his face and weeps. But she does not move toward the door, so he pushes her. She regains her balance and goes on weeping. He stands back and places his fists on his hips and looks at her. Go on and leave, you ugly bitch," he says to her. He says the words again, almost tenderly. "Leave, you ugly bitch." Her hair is golden, her brown eyes deep and sad, her mouth full and affectionate, her tears the tears of love and loss, and her pleading, outstretched arms, her entire body, the arms and body of a devoted woman's cruelly rejected love. A third time he says the words, "Leave me now, you disgusting, ugly bitch." She is wrapped in an envelope of golden light, a warm, dense haze that she seems to have stepped into as into a carriage, and then she is gone, and he is alone again. He looks around the room, searching for her. Sitting down in the easy chair, he places his face in his hands. It's not as if she has died. It's as if he has killed her.